Whew, it's been another hot one here. Been out at the beach all day, and yeah, nearly end of August, beginning of September, still warm. Whew. Anyway, not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is something that I'm increasingly amazed by. Well, really, what I'm amazed about is why people go along with stuff that is just completely unfair and massively illogical. So I'll start off by talking about Finland, the country that I'm living in at the moment. Now, Finland never had an empire, unlike Britain. And Finland was built by Finns, people like the mythical Jussi Koskela, from who was the main character in the book Under the Northern Star. And the beginning of that book, it sums it up in a sentence. First there was a hoe, a man called Jussi, and a swamp as far as the eye could see. And yeah, most of Finland is still a forest today, but like basically from around about the 1920s onwards, Finns worked unbelievably hard to create a modern first world country. And these people, honestly, they're very, very smart and hardworking people. They can, when you actually live amongst them, it's amazing. Obviously, the welfare state is turning them into mush, much what has happened to Britain. But Finland, I suppose, at the moment it's on its decline path, but it's probably around about 1965, 1970 compared to where Britain is today. So what I'm saying here is that Finland is a great country, very high material standard of living. Finns aren't materialistic, ironically, but they have a high. They're not into status symbols. Well, maybe some jerks in Helsinki are, but real Finns, they're not into boasting at all. They're not into status symbols. That's a real kind of no amongst Finns. But yeah, what I'm trying to get at here is that Finland was made by Finns, nobody else. Nobody else. So my question here is that there are some open borders types in Finland. And I'm an open borders type, but I'm not an open borders type when it's combined with a welfare state. So my question to these people is like, what moral obligation does the likes of Jussi Koskela have towards some dude from another continent? Like, why? Can somebody explain to me, like, why Finns have a moral obligation towards people from other continents with very different cultures, often different religions, no connection whatsoever with Finland? Like, why do these people expect to come to Finland and live off the Finnish taxpayer? It's baffling. Like, come here with your kids get educated, get healthcare, get a house, get spending money. No connection with Finland whatsoever. Like why? How is this acceptable? That's my question. How is it acceptable? A while ago, I used to sort of think, well, maybe if I was lived in a very poor, dirt poor developing country, maybe I would be on the next plane or rubber dinghy to go and live off somebody else's income. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Because it's just immoral, isn't it? It's immoral to be... See, this is all done through the state, you see. Like, Finns aren't given a choice over whether they pay taxes to house people who they've got nothing in common with, who have been brought in from other continents to live off welfare and to be housed. all out of Jussi Koskela's pocket. They have no choice in the matter because it's done through the state. So the state has decided, for whatever reason, that it is a good idea. And Finns are just presented with the bill, aren't they, through their taxes. So what happens if they object? Well, they'd get fined initially, wouldn't they, by the government for not paying their taxes. Or the part of their taxes that's being used to house people who are coming to Finland, who've got nothing in common with Finland. They're not intending to work in Finland. They're just coming to claim the freebies, aren't they? What would happen if you say, well, I don't really want to pay that element of my taxes that funds this particular activity? Well, you know, again, if you don't pay the fine, then ultimately they're going to throw you in prison, aren't they? So this is not based on free will. This is something that Finns are being railroaded into through this process that's called democracy. You know, where 51% of people get to impose their will on the others. And that 51% is probably, well, they vote for something, but they end up with something completely different, don't they? You know, because what governments often do in power is completely different from what they said that they were going to do in their manifesto before the election. So my message to people, if there is anyone from a developing country, third world country, who's tempted to come to Finland or some other country that they've got nothing in common with, no links, whatever, it's like think again, because it's immoral for you to come. You have no right, you have no moral legitimacy to come to somebody else's country and expect the people of that country to pay taxes to support you. They're forced to pay taxes. It's not a free will decision. So I dare say already probably some people there'll be some like far left idiots, 77th Brigade types who've probably been writing, oh, well, how come you're in Finland? Well, I'm a Brit. Two things, I'm married to a Finn, and then probably more importantly is that I don't cost I actually pay taxes in Finland. I don't claim any benefits from Finland, and I would never dream of doing that. I've come to Finland to fit in and integrate. I've got no English friends in Pori out of choice. I've not come here to like re-establish a little Britain somewhere in Finland. No intention of that whatsoever. The other thing that I'm going to come back to is that I'm a libertarian. I don't believe in authoritarian government. So I don't believe that governments should choose who can and can't live in a particular country. So some people say, well, that contradicts everything you've said. It doesn't at all. In my ideal world, there would be no borders, no passports. People can choose to come and go from countries, live wherever they want, but with an important proviso. That proviso being, you pay your own way, you earn your own income, and you don't live as a parasite from taxes that have been extracted from other people without their consent. Yeah, this is the big myth here, is that most people they don't choose to pay taxes to fund Zelensky and rubber boat people in England. They're forced to. They're slaves. Let's paint it out in plain and simple terms. These people are slaves. They're forced to pay tax. And then politicians just do whatever they want to do with the money that they've stolen. So the solution then is no government, voluntarism. So All transactions take place on a voluntary basis between two parties who engage in voluntary, mutually beneficial exchange. Both parties benefit. If they didn't, the exchange would stop pretty quickly. That's the world that I'm foreseeing. We could short circuit that. We could call it freedom, yeah, economic freedom, but also political freedom. In terms of speech, freedom of speech as well, freedom of expression rather. Okay, one last thing, because there'll be people saying, oh, you're heartless, what about, you know, like you're a Christian. That's true, I am a Christian. So does that mean that I'm not in favor of helping people? Oh, I believe in helping people, but what I believe is that should be my choice. That shouldn't be done through coercion, extortion, violence, or the threat of it through the state. If somebody wants to, you know, for example, if there's somebody in Pori who wants to sponsor somebody, some poor family or whatever, bring them in, put them in their house, pay for everything, I think that's great. It's a very noble gesture. Well, what's not right is for that family to vote for, I don't know, in Finland, the left-wing SDP or Green Party or something, and then campaign for the rich to pay. You know, oh, we need to create social justice. We need to help the poor in other countries by bringing these people to Finland. But I'm not going to pay for it. The rich are, somebody else. That's immoral. If you want to help other people, I think it's good to help other people, but you should vet whether those people are worthy of your help or not. Are they capable of helping themselves but are choosing not to do so? Like, lazy people do exist. And our duty as a Christian, I believe that our duty, whilst we're here, is to serve one another. Jesus Christ was the servant king. He even washed the feet of his disciples. Nobody is too big or proud to not work. We should all be working, serving one another. For me, I served as a teacher for 35 years, and now I'm still doing unmonetized, doing this YouTube. So that's all I want to say today. I find it amazing that people just accept this situation, that they're forced or extorted into paying money via violence or the threat of it to bring in people that they've got nothing in common into their country, and they live off their income via the taxes. It's insanity. Even for Britain, the argument amongst leftists is that, oh well, Britain had an empire, so they've got a debt, because Britain's wealth was based on, I don't know, what happened 200 years ago with slavery or something like that. So that, I would just say, check your premise. Like Britain's wealth was based on the Industrial Revolution, based on textiles, based on engineering, producing cars, nothing to do with slavery. Britain was a manufacturing powerhouse. Britain got rich in the same way that China's getting rich now, right? So, and then the other final point is, how far back do you want to go? Like, if you're going to say to Brits, oh, well, you're responsible for actions that took place 200 years ago by other people who just happen to live in your country. Well, how far do you want to go back? Like, for example, should Brits be able to claim money from the Italian government because of Roman colonization and Roman slavery? When the Romans invaded Britain, like 2,000 years ago. So is it okay to go back 200 years, but not 2,000 years? Where's the dividing line? It's just insanity. It's just madness. So that's all I want to say today. So God bless.